Right then, good evening everyone. Thank you for joining in. Obviously it's Smash Grapes virtual wine tasting tonight. We are kicking things off at about 7:30. So get yourself comfy, get wine one poured out. Now that is a white wine, so it's going to be the yellow label with the little white wine glass icon on it. So the yellow label, wine one. If you haven't taken your red wines out of the fridge, now those are the ones with the dark green label and the red wine icon. Get those taken out the fridge so that they can come up to temperature. Nothing wrong with sitting them, somewhere near a warm radiator, which I'm sure you've got on in the lovely English winter that we've descended on us today. It's been absolutely grim, hasn't it? But yeah, we'll be kicking things off in about 5 minutes. So get white wine number one poured out, and we'll see you shortly. Right, so on screen now as well, you can see an orange screen that has Slido.com on it. Throughout the night, we've got some polls, some Q&As, bits and pieces of interaction going on. Always makes these things go a lot better when we get a bit of two-way conversation going. So whip out your phones if you've got a smartphone, head over to Slido.com and press in. It'll ask you for an event code, and your event code is SG Wine Tasting. You can use Slido to send us questions, so feel free to get in the Q&A, send anything over. We can interrupt Sam, doesn't matter. I quite enjoy interrupting him. But also, as we go through the wines, we're going to ask you just a few questions as we go, really. You know, what kind of things you're picking up, a few questions about grapes, about, various things. So much better if you can get yourself logged on to Slido.com and pop in the event code SG Wine Tasting, or if you're a bit tech savvy, you can scan the QR code that's on screen as well. Right, here we are then. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. Just going to bring Sam in here as well, as if for the power of the internet. Sam, how's it going? Oh, hang on. It would help if I put your microphone on, wouldn't it? There you go.
Hello.
Yes.
How are we doing? Are you reading me?
We are. We've got you. We can hear you.
Thank God it's Friday, eh?
It is. It's another Friday.
It is.
Right, so, quick one. How's it all going to work this evening? Well, Sam's going to run you through the wine. Sam is Smashscrape's resident wine expert. So, he will be talking us through each of the 6 wines as we go. We'll take a little short break between the white wines and the red wines so that I can just show you how you redeem your £10 of wine tokens that you got for joining us this evening. But then also, just a reminder, we are using Slido.com tonight. So if you do get your phone out, open a web browser, Chrome, Internet Explorer, whatever, Microsoft Edge, people still use that. Grab that out, go to Slido.com and put in the event code SG Wine Tasting. That is going to then get you into the event where you can see us doing a few polls, doing a few questions, things like that. So I've just popped one up before we start the white wines, just asking what your favourite grape or type of white wine is. We've had a couple of votes in. Chenin, Chablis, usual suspects, you know. So yes, white wine number 1. Get it poured in your pouches, in your glasses. Sorry, it is this one here with the yellow label, number 1, and the little white wine icon on. So get that poured out. So Sam, before we start, do you want to give everyone a quick rundown of how it's all going to work in terms of the wine this evening?
Absolutely. Hello. Welcome, everybody. If you've been on a virtual tasting with us before, thanks for coming back. If you're new, hello, welcome. Smashscrape's virtual tastings, they are not your average wine tasting. This is not going to be a tasting where we sniff and we swirl and we talk about essence of citrus and violet notes. And we're also not going to talk about Jean-Pierre down in the vineyard, you know, stroking his dog and wandering between the vines and fondling the grapes. This is a wine tasting about wine drinking for normal people like us. And what we're going to do is we're going to taste some wines. We're going to say why they're good. And we're going to sort of explore what they're great alternatives to. And hopefully you're going to find some ones you love that you'll be able to take away. And whether or not you are shopping for wine in your favorite online wine merchant or down the supermarket aisle at Aldi, hopefully you can take some stuff away that will help you buy smarter and also get better for value, but also guarantee to get enjoyment. And that's what we're all about at Smashscrapes, is guaranteeing that enjoyment. We are acutely aware of the problem of fear of wine letdown. You stood there, you're looking at a wall of wine in the supermarket aisle, you want to have something different, but you just don't know what to pick because you're not quite sure what's in the bottle. And so you go back to the good old favorites and you end up in this rut of drinking the same wine all the time. Well, we're here to eliminate that. That's what we're all about, and hopefully part of the process tonight will help you to do so. It is our festive tasting. Woohoo! It's Christmas. We're gonna go get our tree tomorrow. I don't know if that's a bit early or not, but it's happening. That's the thing. So the wines that I've picked for you guys tonight are what we call our festive favorites. They all have a place in the festive calendar. They're all going to help you make merry over the Christmas period. What they all are, pretty much all of them, I think, to an extent, are fantastic alternatives to the real Christmas classics that tend to sort of become big sellers at Christmas time. The Bordeaux's, the Burgundies, the white Burgundies, that sort of stuff. They're great alternatives to that. Alternatives that are tasty, but as I said before, are also going to get you great value for money. So we'll go through the wines, we'll try them, we'll find out a bit about them, and we'll also find about what they're great alternatives to. As Dan said, this works a whole lot better if you guys fire out some questions and interact and engage. It is a virtual tasting. We'd love to be in the room with you. maybe not some of you, you're not wearing quite enough clothes and those slippers are terrible, but we'd love to be in the room with you engaging. In fact, we actually had our first live in the room tasting of the year yesterday. It was fantastic to be with real people. Let's recreate that with plenty of engagement. It doesn't matter if you think your question is a little bit silly. Like I said, this is not your average wine tasting. This is the wine tasting where you can ask those questions. You can ask questions like, why does this wine give me a hangover and this one doesn't? You can ask questions like, what's the difference between screw cap and cork? We are all friends here. We certainly will be after the amount of wine that you've got in front of you. Ask away, and it will just make the whole night to be a lot more interesting.
So we've got a bit of a word cloud building there. So as you're answering those questions, it's all coming up. So a few Chardonnay votes. Nice to see.
That's good to see. Good to see
Pinot Grigio.
You're gonna.
Albarino is in there.
Good. Well, that
Chablis, Rosé. Two actually for Albarino. Lunchtime wine. Someone says that.
Lunchtime wine.
Lunchtime wine. Someone's put Malbec. So either they didn't see that it was white wine, or can you get a white Malbec? Can you get a white Malbec?
No, I don't think so. Well, technically you could, so it may exist out there, but
don't they sell a white Malbec now in Lidl, I think, Aldi? I'm sure it's like
I think that might be a thing. Yeah, that might be a little bit of a thing. Right. So that brings us nicely onto wine number one, and something that we're going to talk about with all of the white wines this evening. So we've got Chardonnay up there, we've got Pinot Grigio, we've got Sauvignon Blanc, we've got Albarino. Great to see. Chablis, by the way, is Chardonnay. Chardonnay and Chablis are the same thing. Chablis is a region. Chardonnay is the grape it's named for. But what ties all of those grape varieties together that were popular among you guys? Well, it's the fact that they're just so clean and crisp and refreshing. At the moment, when we drink white wine, we've done our flight something that's nice and clean and crisp and refreshing. And you can sort of trace that back to things like gin and tonics. Everybody loves a gin and tonic at the moment because it's clean and it's crisp and refreshing. What makes those wines refreshing, or a gin and tonic refreshing, or a cloudy lemonade refreshing, is acidity. Acidity in white wine is what makes it refreshing. And we're going to talk about acidity and its balance with sugar as we talk about the white wines this evening. And actually, just because it's quite nice for your palate, as we start with wine number one, we're going to be very, very high acid. And as we progress through the white wines, we're actually going down in acid. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. So the first wine, have a little swig. Don't have to stand on ceremony. Get it down, bang it into the word cloud that Dan's popped up there. What are you tasting? It can be a fruit if you want, or it could be anything. Just, whatever your opinion is. It doesn't have to be a flavor. It can just be an opinion or a thought. Get it up there and let's have a look what we think.
Roger in the chat's having a cheeky glass of Durello before wine one. Lovely stuff, Roger.
Classy.
Like
what a classy way to
start. And
Alexa
the night. Has confirmed that Aldi, yes, they do a white Malbec. It's I knew I'd seen it. I knew I had. I haven't tried it personally, but I have seen it. I've seen it. So remember guys, Slido.com, and the event code is SG Wine Tasting. We're getting light and refreshing in there.
First one in, lovely.
Nice. Yep.
Okay, whilst you bang those words in, let me crack on. Let's get on with it. So, first white wine tonight, clean, refreshing, crisp. It's almost got a sort of a slight light fizziness to it from that acidity. This is a super high acid wine. What do we mean by that? Well, basically, when a grape is on the vine, naturally, it has very, very high acidity and very, very low sugar. As we go through the spring, summer, and into the autumn, the sunshine comes out in whatever country this grape is growing, and that sunshine and that warmth and that heat reduces the amount of acidity, but increases the amount of sugar. And as we add in the sugary flavors, we get more fruity flavors coming through. But we want to maintain acidity for freshness. The amount of acidity in a grape, here's a little hack for you if you're in the supermarket aisle and you like high acid, refreshing white wines, is dictated to by that sunshine, by that climate. So for a high acid, clean and crisp white wine, we want to be in a nice, cool country, or at least a cooler part of a country. And that's exactly where we are with wine number one. So for wine number one, we are going to Portugal. Doesn't sound very cool, Sam. What are you going on about? This is Vinha Verde, which I think we might have done a Vinha Verde before at a tasting. This is a different one if you were at that tasting, I assure you. Vinha Verde is a region, not a grape variety. But to be honest with you, the grapes that are in Vinha Verde are so blooming complicated that we tend to just refer to it as Vinha Verde. But Vinha Verde is a region right in the top of Portugal, right on the Atlantic Ocean, up in the north, super cool climate where Vinha Verde grapes do particularly well. They're generally a blend of 3 grape varieties. They're all difficult to pronounce in Portugal. There's Loureiro, Alvarinho, and Arinto. Arinto is kind of like the Portuguese Sauvignon Blanc. Alvarinho is actually the Portuguese word for Albarino. So they are exactly the same thing. So for those of you guys that put Albarino as your favorite white wine, then you should be getting into this. And then Loureiro is it's sort of it's kind of more Pinot Grigio territory. It's more neutral in flavor, not a huge amount of flavor in that. But the 3 get blended together to make Vinha Verde. Vinha Verde, green wine, means green because it does appear slightly green in the glass, and that greenness is because it's not particularly ripe. So again, it's not had a huge amount of sunshine, the acidity has stayed high, and the sugars are fairly low, and that has been turned into a light, refreshing, high acid white wine. So if you like Albarino, if you like Sauvignon Blanc, if you like a bit of Pinot Grigio, and if you like Chardonnay, but Chardonnay's a funny one because it tends to adopt whatever country it's in, but if you like cool climate Chardonnay, like French Chardonnay, then this should be right up your street. I think Sauvignon Blanc lovers, you'll like this. It's got that green, light acid flavors, but it's definitely, if you're an Albarino lover or a Pinot Grigio lover, this is really, really good. Bringing it back to the old Christmas theme, well, it's not the most festive of wines, absolutely. You know, a nice light spritzy white wine, much better for the patio in the sunshine, for sure. In the summer months, you knock a few bottles of this back relatively easy, but it's a long old month, guys. This is a fairly low alcohol wine because low sugar means low alcohol. It's a fairly low alcohol wine. It's light, it's spritzy, it's easy drinking. It's a nice little party number, all-rounder, get the conversation started. It's a nice alternative to, say, fizz if you don't want to do fizz, to sort of start a party and enjoy. You could also enjoy it with food. You could have it, you know, with nibbles and stuff like that. It would be a good all-rounder for that. But hope you enjoy it. Wine number 1, Vinha Verde.
We had quite a few bits and pieces coming in there. Minerally, lemon, you know, a lot of that. You know, that's obviously what we wanted to see. We've got Michelle Williams. Wine 1's going down too well. So
too well. It does.
Too well.
So, funnily enough, for those of you who put Albarino in the chat, and Vinha Verde in particular, because it generally has Albarino in it, in the wine sort of wine industry, when people like myself that have to, unfortunately, I know it's tough, drink lots of wine all the time, we get like what's called palate fatigue, as in like you've just drunk so much full flavor stuff all the time, you're a bit like, whoa, don't need any more wine. Albarino and Vinha Verde is like our go-to refresher, like our palate cleaner, if you like. It's kind of like the wino's water. It's the one that you just can knock back nice and easy, super easy to drink, and it's just not too intense. And so I love it, absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's a lot of 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s for this. Obviously, a couple of 5s or 5 in there. You know, that's the whole thing. That's why that is the reason that we started these try before you buys. Not every wine is to every taste. So you know, this is white wine number 1. We've still got 5 more wines to go. So hopefully we can find something that's a little bit higher for the people that have said this is maybe a 5 out of 10 for them. I think sometimes some of these obviously it's polar, isn't it? The acidity scale. It might be a bit much for some people. So
this is at the extreme end of acidity, so it might not be for everybody. Absolutely. The scores are creeping up.
They are going up. So yeah, we've gone from 6.4. Well, you know, what we on now? Let's have a look. 7.5. 7.5 out of 10. What you guys have rated it so far, 7.5. So not a bad one, not a bad. Right. So if I close this poll down now, what you should be able to see on screen as well is the opportunity for you to pose questions. We do pick up the YouTube chat, so you can use that. Or yeah, you can use the Slido app to send any questions over. As Sam mentioned, no questions off the table. You know, I mean, predominantly about the wine, but if you want to, post some deep and meaningful questions once we're 5-6 glasses in, feel free. You know, we'll tackle some of the hard subjects. You know, let's put the world to rights. But that is white wine number 1. So finish that up and grab yourself pouch number 2. So white wine number 2. Gain the yellow label wine 2. You don't need to get yourself a fresh glass. Just make sure that there's none of wine 1 was left in it. And pop wine 2 into your glasses, please, folks. We will move on to white wine number 2. I've still got some left. I'll get rid of this.
Oh, get it down, yeah. So I'm not going to tell you about wine number 2 just yet, so don't panic. Get it in the glass. But whilst we're talking about white wine still, and we're talking about acidity and sugar, so acidity versus sugar is not just about the balance between how refreshing a wine is, or crisp and zingy, and how fruity it is, but there is a little bit more specifics in there as well. So when you're in a cool climate and we've got high acid, low sugar, generally the fruity flavors are quite neutral because of that low sugar level. So if you do taste any fruit, it's generally going to be like citrusy fruits like lemon and lime and that sort of thing. So if you like lemon and lime, then high acid is in your sort of area. As we move into warmer countries and warmer climates, warmer regions, and the grapes get riper and that acidity comes down and the sugar goes up, we move through into sort of more like apples and pears and tree fruit and that sort of thing. As we get warmer still and the sugar levels in these grapes go up and the acidity comes down, we move into more like stone fruit flavors like peaches, or what's another stone fruit other than a peach?
Apricot?
Apricots. That'll do. And then as the acidity comes down even further, as we go into the super hot countries, let's say like a Chardonnay from Australia, then we're getting into the tropical territory, mango, pineapple, even banana sometimes in like really hot countries when the grapes have got really, really ripe. Now you might be thinking, well, does that mean the wine's really sweet, Sam? No, that sweetness has got nothing to do with it, how dry or sweet the wine is. All white wine is dry, unless it's a dessert wine, it's a pudding wine, and that's in a whole other bag. There are some that are off dry that have a little whiff of sugar in, but generally most white wine that you pick up in the store is all the same level of dryness. So that sugar increase does increase the tropical fruity flavors, but ultimately it also gets converted into alcohol. And that's why those hotter country wines tend to be more higher in percentages. So if you go for a cool climate Pinot Grigio, high in acid from Northern Italy, then, right on the Swiss Alps, then it's going to be like 11.5, 12%. But if you go for a big Australian Chardonnay full of tropical fruit flavors, low in acid, big and chunky, then it might be like 13.5 to 14%. And we'll talk about reds later, but the same applies with the reds.
Quite a good segue into our first question that's come in. Does the alcohol percentage influence the taste?
Absolutely, yeah. So you can taste alcohol in wine, and a well-made wine will sort of disguise the alcohol flavor. It's kind of like when you go to a cocktail bar and the guy makes you a really lovely cocktail and you sip it down and you taste like orange juice, and then he tells you it's got 6 gins in it and you didn't even know. It's the same with wine. Really good wine making will disguise the flavor of alcohol. However, you can taste alcohol, and it tastes, kind of how you'd imagine, a bit spicy and bitter. So for example, you pick up an Australian Shiraz that's like 15%. It will, it'll have a spicy nature to it, which is alcohol, coming through on it. But yeah, good wines will sort of what we call integrate the alcohol flavor, so it doesn't stand out too much. But when you're getting into those big percentages, yes, you probably will pick it up. And a good thing to note about alcohol as well, spicy food brings out that horrible spicy alcohol flavor. So if you like having a Vindaloo with your Australian Shiraz, it's not going to be nice. The wine is going to taste spicy and bitter, and the alcohol is almost going to like burn you more than the curry, basically. Right,
so wine 2, please get that in the glass. There you go, get it down here. Let's see what's going on. Gonna launch the Slido poll back up again. So what are you picking up on this one before Sam gives us a little rundown on this one? So just as a bit of housekeeping, we generally try and go 15 to 20 minutes ish per wine. So we are on track. Well done. And we will have a little break after white wine 3, just so that you can grab a glass of water, nip to the facilities, do what you need to do. But right, wine 2, what are we saying here?
Oh, I'll tell you what, this one is really growing on me. When I tried it last night, I was like, I remember how good this is, and now I'm in love with it. I think we've
had a floral vote.
Floral, yeah, for sure. Floral, fruity, yeah.
Yeah.
Green apple and peach.
We did a
Yeah.
different wine one last night. And it's completely different after drinking that other glass, because obviously I suppose it's noticeably different in the scale. But fruity, peach, fruit, green apple and peach. There's a couple
Lovely.
of peach vibes there.
Fuller than one for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So you guys have already explained it there, and keep throwing the words up, guys, but you guys have already explained it. We're actually still in a cool climate region here before I tell you where it is. So the acidity is still quite nice and refreshing, but these grapes have naturally picked up the sunshine a little bit more, and we've got a little bit more sugar in the wine. And so we've progressed away from sort of lemon and lime and into green apple and peach for sure. Bit of floral in there. And somebody said fuller than one. Now that fullerness, what do we mean by fuller, especially when we talk about white wine, because we talk about full-bodied red wines. Well, the fullness of a wine, or its body, is how it feels in the mouth. And so that might be like, say, the difference between a skimmed milk and a semi-skimmed milk. We all know the difference there. It tastes thicker in our mouth. Well, how do we achieve that with wine? Well, there's a couple of different ways. One is back to what I've already talked about, sugar. So that little bit of extra sugar in the wine has made it taste a bit richer. But with this wine as well, this wine has had an extra bit of sort of fullness added through an aging process. So I'll tell you what the wine is, and then we'll get to the aging process in a bit. So the wine in your glass at the moment is from Northern Italy, Biscardo Oripasso. The Biscardo family been making wine in Northern Italy for a long old time, two brothers at the moment. And this is a blend of a classic Northern Italy grape, which nobody has probably heard of, which is Garganega. So if you're thinking, what the hell is Garganega, Sam? Well, Garganega is the grape that you find in the wine Soave. So Soave, we've probably all seen that on the supermarket shelves or remember it from the 80s. It had a bit of a trend in the 80s and it's died a death since. But Soave is a region, and the grapes that make Soave wine are always Garganega. So it's Garganega, but it's about 60% Garganega, I think. I've forgotten if it's which way around it is now. And then the other half of the wine is Chardonnay, which is not an Italian native grape variety, but Chardonnay, the brilliance of Chardonnay is it does well pretty much anywhere in any climate, and it adds a fullness and a richness to wines naturally. It has slightly thicker skins than the rest of the white grape family. So this is a blend, half and half blend, if you like, of Garganega and Chardonnay. However, getting onto that aging process, sure, there is a little bit of extra sugar in this wine, but what is making it feel a bit fuller in your mouth, I hope, and a bit richer in flavour is something called lees aging. So when we talk about aging with wine, aging adds a little bit of extra flavour and depth to a wine, and it comes in two forms. Oak aging, which I think we've all heard of, putting the wine in some wood for a while, and lees aging, that we may not have heard of. And lees is just the French word for yeast. And lees aging is where they let the yeast do the job of turning the grape juice into alcohol, and instead of filtering it off straight away, they leave it in for a little while. And it's fairly normal to leave it in for sort of a few weeks to add a little bit of depth and flavour to the wine. This guy has had 5 months lees aging, so it's pretty intense, and that adds like a creaminess to the it's like a natural sort of milky, creamy, dairy sort of style flavour, because the yeast naturally has that flavour. So hopefully you're getting that through in the wine. Bringing it back to the old Christmas selection. So why did I pick this wine? Well, white wine at Christmas, not a huge thing, as we were talking about with the last one. There is a couple of different things that in particular are very, very popular and I hear about all the time. Chablis, which I think we had as one of our favourites at the beginning in the white wine poll. Chablis, white Burgundy in general, and also Sancerre. And what are those wines? Well, the Chablis and the Sancerre are northern France, Loire region wines. Chablis made from Chardonnay, Sancerre made from Sauvignon Blanc, that are high acid, but are really nice and rich in flavour. They're also quite expensive. So this, for me, is a fantastic alternative. It's got the Chardonnay in it, just like Chablis, and that Garganega, similar sort of field to Sauvignon Blanc, but the two combined with the richness of the lees aging, for me, offer a really satisfying, rich, crisp white wine that for me takes on Chablis any day of the week. Cheers.
Zoe and Val are out there, big fans of Soave, so I think they're enjoying this one. Just putting the ratings up. comments there a little across the board. You know, we had a couple of absolutely love it, couple of very nice. We had one of meh, what you tasted meh. So you know, I think it's that's fair. That's a fair assumption. Right. So let's see. If you had to give this one out of 10, what do we reckon? What are we saying? Have to give this a little score. Yeah, another 5 there. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Back up 6.5. Yeah, I'm enjoying this more the second time round. Yeah, slightly lower score than Wine 1. Oh, it's creeping back up again. Creeping back up now. 7.2, 7.3. The roader, middle of the road. We got any other questions? Do remember, guys, you can ask questions in the Slido Q&A. When I turn the poll off, obviously, it's a lot easier to see those and send them in. Ended on about 7, so slightly lower. So Wine 1 seems to be the winner at this moment in time. Right. So get White Wine 2 finished off, drank, and get yourself wine number 3 poured. So again, it is another white wine. If you have done the last few Smash Grapes wine tastings, you'll know that sometimes number 3 tends to be a rosé. This time, 3 whites, 3 reds. So get white wine number 3, yellow label, with the white wine glass icon on, poured out and into your glass. So yeah, 7.2 there. So slightly more love for wine number 1, but still got another 4 to go. Another 4 to go. So keep. Do ask any questions if you think of any, send them over. Otherwise, let's get number 3 poured out and in our glasses.
Okay, so before I talk about number 3, when we was at the live tasting last night, some ladies, we were talking about white wine, and we'd been talking about the acidity and sugar, and some ladies were talking to me about hangovers and about the effects of on your head after a white wine. Now, and also Dan, you used to not be you weren't really a white wine drinker, were you, before we started Smash Grapes? You found that the acidity in wine was just not particularly enjoyable.
I wasn't. Yeah, I mean, I drank a lot of red, but yeah, no, I wasn't. Was never a big white wine fan, and I used to say, my default position was, it's too acidic. It's like battery acid. I can't drink it. It doesn't go down well. But
sure,
yeah.
So when we're talking about acidity and sugar in white wine, and the same applies for red, and we'll come to that in a bit. All of that work by great winemakers, the sort of people that we'll work with and we'll stock on the store, all of that work is done in the field. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean it's done by farmers. It's done by people that know their land, know their environment, and also essentially are pretty damn good at predicting the weather to the best of their ability. That means that when the grapes come in ready to being crushed and turned into wine, the hard work is done. The acidity versus sugar balance has happened and it's all done. Now they just have to turn it into great wine, and that's really simple process. Poor winemaking, or mass-produced wines from big old conglomerates and big companies, excuse me, with big brands, maybe with a logo like a yellow kangaroo or something, naming no names. Big brands won't do any of that work in the field. They'll grow the grapes and they'll just let whatever happen, and they won't harvest them any earlier or later or anything like that to try and evade any bad weather. They'll do nothing. There's no workmanship in the field. It's just get it grown and get it in. They'll then make the wine, crush the grapes and make the wine, and then they'll be like, oh, hang on a minute. This isn't great. It doesn't taste very nice. Our customers aren't going to like this. Maybe it's too high in acid because it wasn't hot enough this year. Or maybe it's too high in sugar because we left them out in the sun too long. So what they do is essentially correct that problem with chemicals. And you may or may not, be startled to know that there are actually 120 chemicals that can be added to wine completely legally and without having to be put on the bottle in order to cure the acidity and sugar balance. And that is what's going to give you a bad head, or in the case of acid, it's going to taste like battery acid. It's those type of mass-produced wines where they're adding powdered acids and powdered sugars that are putting you off those wines or are giving you a sore head in the morning. Quite recently, me and Dan have been lucky enough to be tasting lots of different big brand wines and comparing them to some of our own. We've been comparing Chardonnays from some of the big names to our own Chardonnays. And I tell you what, I don't know if I have a sore head the next morning, and it's all to do with sugar. I pick up a Chardonnay from a big brand name and it's lovely and rich and flavorful, but the next day, Christ, the head, because it's just all been added from sugar. When you go direct to a winemaker through a reputable merchant where they're sourcing from people that put care and passion into the growing of the grapes, you don't have that problem.
All right, look, the questions just come in. Olives, better with white or red wine? P.S. Loving the basil and garlic ones. Olives.
Oh, I do like those basil. I might open a packet of those. Got some somewhere. Yeah, olives. Olives have a slightly bitter flavour to them, so generally better probably with red wine. But I mean, it depends really. It depends on the wine. They're a good all-rounder olives. That's why we tend to stick them in because of saltiness. So, you know, olives are generally pretty salty. Saltiness, salt is a big friend of wine. So even if you have just like a bag of ready salted crisps with your wine, it will make the wine taste better. Salt brings out acidity, it brings out sugar, it brings out the fruity flavor. It just generally makes wine taste amazing. That's why wine and food just go well together because of salt. But yeah, olives in particular, it doesn't really matter whether it's red or white, but I guess red. I guess red for the bitterness.
So number 3 then, what have we got going on here? This is get it poured, start drinking. I'm gonna open the word cloud again. See what you think.
So wine number 3. Going back to the whole festive favourites, I wanted to pick a white wine for you that did 2 things. Made an excellent alternative to white Burgundy. What do I mean by white Burgundy? Well, if you've ever been down the wine aisle, especially in the French area, and seen names like Macon, Pouligny Montrachet, Pouilly-Fuissé, all of these big posh French names from Burgundy in the white wine section, they are all white Burgundy, and all white Burgundy is made from Chardonnay. Now, the thing about Burgundy, it's the most expensive wines in the world. And, the premium just for having that Burgundy name is pretty damn high. We'll talk a bit more about that later. But it is just Chardonnay. It's Chardonnay generally that's had sort of a medium climate. It's in the middle of France. So we can think, okay, it's going to have that acidity, but also some sugar creeping in to give it body. And generally it has 2 other things as well. It has a little bit of lees aging, just like our previous wine. And it has a little bit of oak aging generally. The Burgundy winemakers are a talent. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And they're really good at using oak aging subtly. So for those of you who maybe don't like Chardonnay, you might remember sort of 10, 20, 30 years ago, Chardonnay basically feeling like, a plank of wood in the mouth. And a lot of Australian Chardonnay, so 20, 30 years ago, was really, really poor quality. And so what they used to do is just bang in loads of oak flavor. I mean, it wasn't even actually aged in oak barrels. Often it was just like they put oak into the wine, like chippings for a while to flavor it. And that might have put you off it. White Burgundy, the oaking is done really, really subtly and really nicely and adds different flavors to the wine, like the flavors we're seeing up on the screen. Caramel for sure, vanilla, butter. Yeah, all classic sort of oak flavors, and then some of you have actually said oak in between. But we're not in white Burgundy because we don't give you the obvious thing here, and we don't charge you a premium for the name on it. What we find you is an excellent alternative. This one is just down the road in the region called the Pays d'Oc. Montsebaul is the name of the wine. Pays d'Oc is a large region, sort of between like Provence and where all the posh rosés are made, and the Languedoc just before you get down into Spain. You've got the Pays d'Oc in the middle there, big old region. It's not a prestigious region by any means. So you can pretty much do whatever you want there in terms of wine making. It's the prestigious regions that have all the rules and stuff like that. However, what they have done is produced a Chardonnay from these particular winemakers in the exact same style, in the exact same way as some of the best white Burgundies. And for me, it's just tremendous value for money. I absolutely love it. It's rich, it's creamy, there's the vanilla like people were saying. Really, really enjoyable way to drink Chardonnay. It's also my absolute favorite to pair with Christmas turkey. If you're going to have a white wine with your turkey, then I would highly recommend a nice big Chardonnay. Chardonnay has a little bit more oomph to it, as we've said before. The oak aging and the lees aging give it, again, more guts and flavour. And it's going to stand up to all those classic Christmas flavors. Because let's face it, like Christmas dinner is a bit of an assault on the flavor profiles, isn't it? You know, there's all sorts going on at the table. And really, it's going to have to be a big Chardonnay to stand up to that. And I think this is a great example.
Good. So we've just had another question come in. And I think this goes back to... what you were saying about the extra chemicals that can be added to wines. So the question is, how can you find out which wines are full of added rubbish when you're in the supermarket?
Yeah, that's a tough one. The answer really is you can't. What I would say is there's some things you can do to mitigate for that. So steer away from big brands, you know. So think about it. If a wine company or a wine brand can afford large marketing budgets, TV adverts, you know, and all that sort of stuff, is it investing money in the quality of the wine it's producing? Also, if it's able to produce the sort of quantities of wine that it can fulfill, you know, multinational orders, then it's probably not putting too much effort into the production of its wine. So really try and steer away from big branded wine and look for smaller independent producers. In the supermarket environment, guys, it's tough. It really is tough. I'm happy to give a supermarket top tip. Aldi at the moment currently employ a proper master sommelier named a lady called Michelle Williams, and she's fantastic, and she is doing some fantastic buying for Aldi. So she, for example, looks at regions like the Languedoc to get better value for money than, say, in Provence or Burgundy, just like us. So Aldi, when you look at Aldi wines and you see it maybe for £6-7, you know, and think, oh, that's all right, it is worth giving a go. You know, it is good value for money. But apart from the supermarket, what I would encourage you to do is try and find somebody like us who's, you know, an independent selling wines that they have a relationship with the winemaker. And even if it's not us, even if it's your local wine merchant, whatever, speak to somebody who knows the people that made the wine like us, and that's really the way to guarantee it. And I mean, Dan, you talk about this. You know, we do it with everything else in our lives, don't we? You know, we do it with all the food in our lives.
You want free-range eggs, you want fair trade coffee, and you know, red tractor assured meats. So, you know, we just urge you to make the same kind of choices when it comes to wine, really. Some interesting stats coming out. I know we've said about this a few times if you've been on a Smash Grapes wine tasting. Duty is fixed, and it used to be that for a £5 bottle of wine, 31 pence went on the juice inside to the people that make it. It's actually now gone down to 29p because of the rising costs elsewhere. So 29p from a £5 bottle of wine goes on the liquid inside to the people that make it. So yeah, that's where the whole thing comes in of, you know, having to machine harvest and correct in tanks rather than spending a little bit more time, because if you just step up to about £7 or £8, then you can that 29p goes up to £2.50 plus. I suppose one trick potentially, Sam, would be to buy a wine that is organic, because I suppose by being organic they can't put anything else in it. And
yeah,
it's actually
absolutely organic. Yep.
It's not to do with sulfites or anything like that. It's just because it's got organic on the label legally. That's the only way you know the stuff that doesn't have to go on the label isn't in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Organic for sure. Organic wines all the way. You know, a lot of people think that there's a couple of things there. Sulfites actually is the one chemical that legally you have to put on the bottle. because it's an allergen. There are people out there that are severely allergic to it, like peanuts and stuff like that. But sulfites do you no harm. They preserve wine. Without sulfites, we wouldn't have wine in this country because we wouldn't be able to get it to us in time before it went off. And there's nothing wrong with that. But also, organic wine just generally means that they're not adding in those extra supportive chemicals. So that's really good. The problem with organic at the moment is that it costs a lot of money for a winemaker to jump through the bureaucracy and the hoops to get that certificate. And a lot of winemakers, like you go and speak to some guy in central Spain who's just like making wine, on a small scale level to support his family. And, it's not a massive business. He's just not going to bother. He's just not going to bother with the paperwork for organic, like, even though actually he's been practicing organic for 10 generations. So again, it comes back to that thing of trying to source wines from somebody who's got a relationship with a winemaker who can tell you that wine was actually, farmed organically and made sustainably, even though the guy hasn't got the certificate. And that comes from having a relationship with the person that you buy it from, whether it be online or in a store. Just like when you like go to a proper butcher and he can like tell you like where the meats come from and that sort of thing. It's exactly the same.
So yeah, not a couple of people not so keen on this one. Scoring it out of a 6 at the moment, but I think it's always divisive, isn't it, Chardonnay? Always divisive.
It is. I mean, I was surprised to see Chardonnay in the poll as a favourite. I think people sort of take a dislike to Chardonnay because of its reputation from the past of being over-oaked and not particularly nice. Chardonnay is a fantastic grape variety. As I said, if you like Chablis, you like Chardonnay. If you like white Burgundy, you like Chardonnay. Guess what? If you like Champagne, you like Chardonnay. Champagne is made from Chardonnay. It's an extremely versatile grape variety. And what I would say, if you think Chardonnay isn't for you, you probably just haven't found the Chardonnay for you, because it grows all over the world. It's the most widely grown white grape variety. And it's really good at reflecting the country that it's grown in, the weather and that sort of thing. Try Chardonnay from all over the world, and you might be surprised. There might be one there for you.
Right, so that is white wine number 3. So we're going to take a very quick breather. So if you want to grab yourself a glass of water, nip to the loo, etc., feel free. But what I'm going to show you now is as part of getting a try before you buy tasting kit, you have been credited with £10 in wine tokens. So wine tokens are our equivalent of the club card. Everyone knows what those are. You earn points every time you shop with us. You can earn yourself a £20 voucher by recommending a friend, sending them a link. You give them £20 off their first order, and when they place their order, you get a £20 voucher as well to say thank you for bringing someone else into the Smash Grapes movement. Right, so I'm just going to show you now what you need to do is you need to remember the email address that you used when you ordered your try before you buy kit. So it's all based on emails. So let me bring the website up. You're going to head over to smashgrapes.co.uk, and if you've been on our website recently, which you may have depending on when you ordered your pack, we've had a bit of a Christmas takeover. So if you haven't had a good look round, do have a gander. We've got a lot of our categories up ready for all the things you need across Christmas. Whether you're a breast or a leg man, with love and a budget, gift wrap, stars of the party, those kind of things. Take a little look. But what you need to do is you need to head over to the login. So if you're on the desktop, you can see here top right, there's a little person. On the mobile, if you're on a mobile phone, open the menu and hit login. You need to log in to the account linked to your email address. Now, you're probably saying, Dan, I haven't got an account. I've just bought something. In which case, you need to make an account using that email address. So down the bottom, you can click create an account. Just make sure you use that email address, okay? So you press, you log in. Get yourself not signed in. There you go. You'll see any orders that you've got here. You'll, if you subscribe, you'll be able to manage your account, those kind of things. I'm just going to navigate back to the homepage because it's easier to show. But at the bottom right, you'll see a little plugin here that says wine tokens. If you're on a phone, you see the little star. If you're on a computer, you see the words as well. When you're logged in, remember with the email you used, being the email you used to get your Try Before You Buy kit. Open your wine token portal, and you will see that you've got wine tokens sat there and a £10 coupon ready to go. Open that up, press redeem, and that will send you a code that you use to get £10 off your order. It isn't just off the wines for tonight. You can use it on anything. You don't have to use it straight away. You can let them build up and wait till you get a £20 voucher. Entirely up to you. But within the wine tokens portal as well, if you scroll down a little bit, this is where you have your refer a friend. So you've got a code here that you can share with them. Obviously, because I'm on a computer, I've got Facebook, Twitter, email. If I open this on my phone, it'd give me WhatsApp, text message, those kind of things. Send that to your friends. That will give them £20 off their first order, and it will again give you a £20 credit as well when they have placed that order. So that's it. That's how you get your £10 worth of wine tokens. Once we finish the tasting tonight, we will email you the 6 wines we've had. People tend to forget after wine number 6 which bottle was which. Don't panic. We will send that over. One thing that's also worth noting is that it is that big international thing that's taken over everywhere right now, Black Friday. So we do have a 20% sale across everything in store. So if you do want to order any wine this weekend, my recommendation would be to perhaps use our Black Friday deal and save your wine tokens for later. You can only use one promotion at any one time. Rogers says he thinks wine 3 would be better tasted with food. That's why wine 1 was great. It was great to drink on its own. That's fair.
For sure, yeah. As we, move, like I said, as we move through the scale, we've gone from the light and the refreshing to the more fuller flavour. If you're enjoying that fuller flavour on an empty stomach or without a little nibble, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Maybe a bit of food with that will make it more enjoyable. It's my turkey favourite, so if you've not got any turkey in, it's no good, is it?
No, and I don't think a roast chicken Walker's will probably give you the same effect, but you never know.
There's nothing wrong with a roast chicken Walker's.
I haven't had a packet of roast chicken Walkers for ages.
Oh, now we're talking. I think we could do a tasting just based on Walker's flavours, I think that's a thought for the new year.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about how we get them to everyone's door uncrushed. Those of you that have done these a few times, be really interested to hear from you actually. We put some extra bracing in the boxes this time because you know that sometimes obviously they get thrown around by the couriers and stuff. How do you feel about that new bracing in the box? Did it make a difference to how your wines were delivered to you? Drop us a comment or send us a message. Always good to know. Trying to make sure we get everything to you in as pristine condition as possible. Right, get white wine number 3 drunk and out. Grab yourself a fresh glass, though you don't have to. And we are moving on to our reds now. So it is wine number 1 again this time with the dark green label and the little red wine icon. Wine number 1. Get that poured out and in a glass. Question on Slido feeds us nicely into this one, Sam. Red or white with turkey? Red or white?
Whatever takes your fancy, but if you're doing Christmas properly, both.
Both.
Have both on the table. Why not? It's Christmas. You know what? It's a tricky one because ultimately turkey is white meat. It's a white bird. It really is in the white wine area, but there's just so much other stuff going on in there with Christmas. I mean, let's talk about pigs. What goes well with pigs because they're really the most impressive thing on the table. You got your stuffing. You got all the different sauces, your cranberry and your bread sauce, all the veg. And then it also depends on your gravy because if you're like some sort of traditionalist that's like turkey gravy from the turkey, then you're probably still safe in the white wine zone. But if you've been making some black treacle for the last, 28 days leading up to Christmas Day, then by the time you've smothered the dinner in that gravy, then you're probably going to want something a bit heavier. So what I would say is have both. As Dan said, that brings us very nicely on to red wine number 1 because it is essentially the brother to the Chardonnay's sister in this little pair that we've got, and it's the Mont Sablé Pinot Noir. So, Dan, you're going to whack the old word cloud up. Let me know what you
There we
think,
go.
guys.
Oh, sorry, I was just basking in the love for the box development. So no, good to hear that boxes have all arrived perfectly.
He loves a box.
I do. A good box, me. We are actually in the process of we've prototyped it, but we're in the process of having a proper box made and designed for our tasting pouches that will fit through your letterbox. So as more of us venture back into offices and things, you no longer have to be there to accept delivery, which will be much better all round. But it is based on the whole having a bit of bracing across the box. So lovely to hear that it's working. Right, what have we got? Cherry, tannin. Cherry's a good assessment on this.
Absolutely, definitely some cherry in there. So yeah, we're back. We're still in the Pays d'Oc, the exact same region as the Chardonnay that we've just tried. The exact same winemaker. This is Mont Sablé again in the Pays d'Oc, and this is their red to partner up with their white, and it is Pinot Noir. And again, we're back in Burgundy territory. So if you're not drinking white Burgundy and you're drinking red Burgundy, we're talking about names like Gevrey Chambertin, Montrachet, Côte de Beaune, all of those posh French names with that you see written in the French Isle under Burgundy. They are all 100% made from Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is the grape of red Burgundy. There is no other. Pinot Noir is the lightest red grape of all the grape varieties. What do I mean by lightest? Well, it has very, very thin skins, which mean it's light in body. And generally it does well in cooler to moderate climates. So it's still quite high in acid and fairly low in sugar. But as a red wine, it still needs a bit of sunshine to get that sugar up. And then when we talk about acidity and sugar in red wine, again, it also reflects the flavor in the wine. So we start off with a cool climate, super cool climate Pinot Noir. You can get Pinot Noir from Northern Italy or Pinot Noir in Germany, Spätburgunder, it's called in Germany, or a Chilean Pinot Noir from right up in one of the mountains. High acid, low sugar, and therefore the flavors are also reflective of that. So in the high acid environment, we have tartar flavors like raspberry and cranberry, that sort of thing. As we move into warmer countries, then those flavors might move into more like strawberry or cherry flavors for sure. As we move into warmer still, we might be more plummy, that sort of flavor. And as we get into the hotter countries, where we're getting lots of sunshine and an increase in sugar and a decrease in acidity, then we move into those dark concentrated fruits, the blackberries, the blueberries, and then jammy fruit flavors. When fruit is cooked, like in your favorite sort of dessert, like a crumble, what we call jammy fruit flavors. So again, if you like those tartar, sort of more crisp flavors like cranberry and raspberry, look for a cool climate red wine. And if you prefer the richer, darker fruit flavors in your red wine, then go for a hotter climate. Again, got the added sugar means higher alcohol, so you're going to have higher percentages. But that increase of sugar and dark fruit flavor also increases the body and the weight of the red wine. So we all, big red wine lovers, you like that fuller bodied. So you're going to be looking for the darker fruit flavors, more sugar from those hotter countries. So now that you're walking down the wine aisle, whether it's white or red, you know what you like. In order to find it, all you've got to know is the weather in that country. Nothing else. That's all you need. Back to this wine. So it's Pinot Noir, absolutely cherry. A little bit of spice and smoke coming through from some people, absolutely. And that's come from good old aging. A little bit of lees in this to make it a bit creamy, but not very much. But oak aging again. So we're back on oak. This red wine has had a little bit of time in oak, not very much, about 3 months, I think, if I remember, just to add a little bit of spiciness to it, a bit of vanilla, that sort of thing. Pinot Noir from the Pays d'Oc instead of Burgundy, great value for money, and it is my red wine of choice to go with the Christmas turkey, absolutely, because it's great. It's got lots of flavor, it's got a bit of spice, it's got a bit of oomph to it, but it's not too crazy, because ultimately we're still pairing it with some white meat, so we can't go massively heavy. We can't pull out the big guns that we might pair with roast beef or a sirloin steak, because ultimately we are still having turkey. But if you're having that turkey with lots of dark, rich gravy and pigs and all that sort of stuff, then absolutely Pinot Noir is the right way to go. And also for me, a really good Pinot Noir like this one, it's like liquid cranberry sauce. So it's just made for Christmas.
So yeah, just votes coming in now. 6.8 on this. So a bit of love for this one. Bit of love. 0.4 now. We're still on the fence. Still on the fence. But hey, that is why we're here. That's why we're doing these tastings. So yeah, keep those coming in. Remember to keep the questions rolling as we go as well. So gonna bring that down now. Right. Look here. Get that one finished off, and we're moving on to red wine number 2. This is a favourite of mine. This one, I like this one. Very excited about getting this one in the glass. Let's. Where are we? So remember, you're back on the green pouches with the red wine icon. So it's. Let's have a look.
Dan,
question come in.
Do you want to stick up the question about what red wine people look for?
Yes, I will do that now. What if you prefer the dark turkey meat? Has just come in.
Well, I mean, whether you prefer leg or breast, that it's still white meat, really. And so, like I say, it's a balance between the two. The white wine works, the red wine works. Don't go heavy on your red wine, even if you're a leg lover. That's not going to mean that it's got the same consistency as a sirloin steak and should be busting out the big Australian Shiraz. Absolutely, keep it fairly light for your turkey dinner. Excuse me.
That's right. So we've got a few coming in now. Malbec, obviously we knew that one's coming in. Gamay, yeah, like a Gamay. Just launched that. What red wines are your grapes / types?
I've got a feeling there's going to be a lot of love for Malbec.
Yeah, always. Yeah, I mean, it's already Rioja is in there, Grenache. Malbec's getting bigger every minute. Right, so yes, remember to get number 2 poured while we're just letting this word cloud build. Again, keep any questions coming in. Have a look. We've had a Noir, so I'm assuming that's Pinot Noir, maybe. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Could be Grenache Noir.
Yeah, Pinot Noir. Could be Grenache Noir, yeah. Pinot Noir. Yeah, someone's just voted that in. Tempranillo. Yeah. Nice. Another vote for Malbec. Getting even bigger. Cool. So, red wine number 2 then. Number 2. Get it poured out. Get having a little swig. See what you reckon.
So Malbec, the big favourite at the moment. It's there on the word cloud. Why do we love Malbec? What is it that we love about Malbec? Well, the other thing to talk about when it comes to red wine, the important thing to talk about, apart from that acidity, sugar, and development of flavors through that sort of those stages, is tannins. Tannins are a very important part of red wine. What are tannins? Tannins are the bitterness in red wine. They're that bitter flavor that sort of also gets you like your furry teeth and your furry gums. And some people love tannins. They like what we call a wine with grip. That feels like it's attacking your mouth. And some people hate them. Some people absolutely hate tannins. Tannins come primarily from the skins in a grape, also from the seeds, but generally mostly from the skins. So a thick-skinned grape variety will have high tannins, and a thin-skinned grape variety like Pinot Noir, like we just had, thin-skinned, will have less tannins. But however, even if you've got a wine with thick skins, and there are lots out there, Cabernet Sauvignon, Shiraz, Malbec, all have very thick skins, there's a lot we can do to sort of attack that and reduce that and make the wine less tannic and less bitter and less aggressive on the palate. Bit of Sunshine does that very, very well. Bit of Oak does that quite well as well. And so depending on the wine and where it comes from, if you can get that balance, what you can still have is a big, full, fruity wine but actually the tannins don't attack you. And that exactly is what Malbec does extremely well. Malbec originated in France, in the south of France. It actually originated in central France, and those wines were really quite tannic still, quite bitter. In the south of France, they do them quite well. It's a little bit smoother. But the reason we love them from Argentina, in particular, Argentinian Malbec has become such a big thing, is because that South American heat is really, really good at mellowing out those tannins and softening that bitter skin flavor. But also what the Argentinians do very well is combine a bit of oak in there. So the Argentinians use American oak, generally from whiskey barrels, and American oak to soften out the flavor in Malbec. If you look on the back of a Malbec bottle, you'll often see sort of 8 to 12 months of oak aging to soften. And what that creates is a wine that's big and rich and fruity, but still silky smooth. And that's why we love it. Why am I talking about Malbec? Is it because it's what's in the glass in front of you? No, it's not. Because actually there's a fantastic alternative to Malbec. One of my favorite red wines there is out there, really, from a fantastic region, but nobody's heard of it. If you have heard of it, you probably won't have seen of it a lot. And it's the wine that's in front of you right now, red wine number 2, and that is Nero d'Avola. Nero d'Avola is the red wine. That's the grape, Nero d'Avola. It's a native red grape to the island of Sicily in Italy, just off the coast of Italy. Sicily is a fantastic region for red wine. And if you want great value in your wines, Sicily has it in abundance. So Sicily has had a pretty bad reputation for winemaking. It spent most of its winemaking life, dating right back to like the 60s and 70s, making Marsala wine, the wine that you do cooking with. I don't know if you've ever tried Marsala wine straight from the bottle. It's not particularly enjoyable. I don't really know why you use it for cooking. I can't remember the last time I did, but it was a thing, and that's what they did. So the problem they have in Sicily is the Mediterranean climate on a little island, the soils they have and all that sort of stuff makes wine growing really, really easy. I mean, they can grow tons of the stuff really, really easy, much easier than France has. There's no hail or rain or frost to worry about like in France. It's just so easy to grow wine. But the problem with that is that actually grapes tend to taste better if they've had a bit of a struggle in life. So the best grapes are the ones where the roots are forced to grow right down into the earth to find the moisture because they're lacking it at the surface and the nutrients and that sort of thing. So grapes that struggle tend to be really tasty. In Sicily, life is so bloody good on the Italian Riviera that they don't. And so the wine wasn't very good quality. The government stepped in and said, you know what, we don't like this reputation as the cheap stuff and as the mass-produced stuff that's only fit for cooking. We don't like it. So what we're going to do is we're going to supplement our winemakers. We're going to pay them to not grow as much grapes, to reduce yields and increase quality. And that's what they did. And they've only been doing it realistically about 10 or 15, maybe 20 years at a push. And the result is fantastic. Winemakers who have been making wine for a long old time and now making wine in the artisan style, small amounts, carefully with craft, and it produces great quality. Sicily has got their own grape varieties, Nero d'Avola, as you've got in front of you, Grillo, fantastic white wine, Catarratto, fantastic white wine. They do really, really well with mainstream red varieties as well. But I urge you to try Nero d'Avola. It's a fantastic alternative to Malbec, in my opinion. It's big and it's rich and it's full of flavor, but it's silky smooth because that big, Mediterranean sunshine hit really mellows out the skins and the bitter tannins, and it just makes it just so drinkable. Great wine.
We've had a question come in. Well, I'm assuming it's a question, and not a statement, because there's a question mark at the end of it. Why have you labelled Sardinia as Sicily? Too much wine. That just came in. Is it Sardinia? Apparently. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not sure. Also, mulled wine, question mark. What are our thoughts on mulled wine?
What are my thoughts on mulled wine? I like it.
You're a fan. You're a fan. Sam's a fan. Yeah, another one there. Maybe we put a wrong pin on the map. We'll have to consult the.
I dropped the wrong pin on the map.
Google Maps. Apparently it might have been Sardinia, not Sicily. Don't know. Can't see it big enough on my screen, so but beautifully balanced, really, really red, like that. There we are. So yes, Nero d'Avola,
Yeah,
Sicily.
mulled wine. Yeah, nothing wrong with mulled wine. I mean,
Yeah.
it really doesn't matter what the wine is. To be honest with you, it really doesn't matter what the wine is. But yeah, I like it. Glühwein from Germany, very nice. Oh yes, we have dropped the pin in the wrong place. Do apologise on the on that one there. I'm just having a look now. My apologies. I did those last minute. Pop the pin on the wrong place. Well done.
Yeah.
You all got an A in geography. Bloody hell.
Good spot. Good spot. Yeah. Some people, just have a nice night. You're 5 glasses of wine in. Like, come on. Right. What wine would you make mulled wine with? And a lot of Christmas questions here. I think you just said it then. Any wine, really, but
yeah, don't splash out. Don't splash out.
No. Well, the reality is as well. You're warming it up. You're cooking the alcohol off. So if you want something with a bit of alcohol in it, then don't warm it too much for too long. Christine said here, Sam, my husband is adamant that you're using one of those fake Zoom backgrounds. Can you pick up a wine glass behind you to prove him wrong? There we go. It's a real background. It is a real background. Settling scores. Left, right, and centre. Right. So, number 2. A lot of love for number 2. So, get that one finished up and drank. And then on to number 3 then, guys. So, that's wine number 6 for tonight. This is our last wine. It's a red wine. Again, last time, green label, little red wine icon. Get that poured out and into the glass, please. Poured out and into your glass. Number 3.
We're going a bit fast for me tonight. I'm still enjoying this near.
We're not getting a lot of questions, Sam. That's the thing. They've been very quiet tonight. Very studious, I think. Could have been worse. We could have pinned Corsica, apparently. There we go. Right. So, let's bring this back up. So, wine number 3. Red wine number 3. Let me just get the... What are you tasting? Or I'll tell you what. Let's give you a bit of time to finish red wine number 2. I'm going to put another poll up. Just something we're interested to ask is, what do you generally pay for a bottle when you're buying wine? What do you generally pay for a bottle of wine? Just interested to know. Oh yeah, so we got 7. Most people voting for £7 to £8, 9, 10. Few people voting more than 12. Okay.
More than 12. All right. Somebody's doing well for themselves.
We go. No, yeah. I mean, as expected, hovering around that £7 to £10 mark. You know. Just interesting for us to know. What your thoughts are. Ooh. All right, so number 3, get red wine 3 poured out and in your glasses, please. Have you caught up, Sam? 2 gone. Fresh
Right,
glass.
I've got spare glass. Always got spare glass.
That's it. Number 3 then. Wine number.
I think I overindulged last night.
Probably. Right. There you go. Start drinking. Let's get it going. Let's have a quick look. Slow down. We are enjoying the wine. Okay, we're a little respite there. No rush now on this one. Just take it easy. Number 3, elderberry.
Elderberry.
Wouldn't even know what an elderberry tastes like.
No, I don't know if I've ever had an elderberry.
I've had elderflower. I'm assuming it's the is it the fruit from the elder?
Must be the berry. Yeah.
Ah.
Who knows?
I'm going to try and source some elderberry from somewhere. Where I can get an elderberry, probably a Waitrose. I can get an elderberry in a Waitrose.
Elderberry. Sounds like something you get on Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Right. So, number 3 there. Red wine 3. What things are you tasting? and it in. Where are we off to with this one then, Sam? Come on, start it off.
Okay, so red wine number 3. So bringing it back to the old festive favourites, an absolute festive favourite is, of course, in the red wine department, Claret, Bordeaux, good old Bordeaux. What is Bordeaux? It's a region in France that basically makes red wine, some of the most famous red wines in the world, you know, your Saint-Emilions, your Haut-Medoc, that sort of thing. But they all are a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, as well as other things, but generally it's Cabernet Sauvignon or Merlot. Get a couple of different grape varieties in there, but they always are generally mostly Merlot or mostly Cabernet Sauvignon. The other thing about Bordeaux is it makes great use of oak aging. So we're not talking about like our Pinot Noir, a little bit of 3 months on wood. We're talking about extended periods of time in oak to smooth it out, to make those tannins nice and subtle and velvety. And that's what's great about Bordeaux. And we love it. Well, we love it all year round, generally Bordeaux, but we particularly love it at Christmas. However, it is expensive. And what I would say to you is that if you find a cheap Bordeaux, beware, because the thing about Bordeaux and Burgundy and other regions like that is that because of the hype, the land cost alone means that they have to charge huge amounts of money for their wines. So to give you an example, one of our most favorite regions for wine production, favorite regions for sourcing wines on the store is Romania, where a hectare of land, I don't know if anybody knows what a hectare is, I don't really particular, but anyway, a hectare of land cost you around £60,000. If you move just into France, generally, it's going to be more like £600,000. If you move into the top areas of Bordeaux or Burgundy, it's going to cost you more like £6 million for a hectare of land. That's the difference. Now, if you think of that from a winemaking point of view, if you own a vineyard on a bunch of land and it's going to produce X amount of bottles, but it's already costing you £6 million a hectare, what does that mean for the price that you have to put on that bottle of wine? So when you see a bottle of Bordeaux that is reasonably priced, that's cheap, if you like, you've got to ask questions about, you know, the quality of what's gone in the bottle. However, the great news is that Merlot Cabernet blends are not a unique thing to Bordeaux. They were born in Bordeaux, sure, and they do it very, very well, but there are other countries that do it well. South Africa in particular does it very well. If you like a Bordeaux blend, if you like your Cabernet and your Merlot blends, check out South Africa. But also the Spanish do it very well. And that brings us on to wine number 3. In front of you is a glass of red wine from the region of Navarra. Where the hell is Navarra? It's in central Spain, or central northern Spain. It's right on the doorstep of Rioja, right next door to Rioja. They literally border each other. They share everything. They share everything in terms of, you know, the style of land, the weather, the climate, the winds. Everything is essentially identical. They're next door neighbors in the exact same part of Spain. So Navarra is fantastic for producing Rioja style wines. And Rioja is a region in Spain. It's not a great variety. The region in Spain, and it's always a blend of Tempranillo and Graziano and Garnacha, 3 red grapes. So if you want fantastic quality Rioja style wines, seek out Navarra. We have a few of them on the store. But also this particular wine from Bodega Manzanas, Victor Manzanas, a winemaker we've been loving for a long old time. He also explores using Bordeaux varieties. So the red wine that you've got in front of you is a combination of Cabernet Sauvignon, Bordeaux, Merlot, Bordeaux, but Tempranillo to finish off, which is a Riojan grape. So it's a bit of a hybrid between the two, really. What's great about Rioja? It's a really good all-rounder. It sits in the middle ground, and it's a fantastic all-rounder. But Bordeaux, in particular, the Bordeaux grape variety is big and full and dark fruits and voluptuous and silky and lovely. And Victor Manzanas is doing this fantastically with this red wine. So it's Cabernet, it's Merlot, it's Tempranillo, but also we've got to talk about oak aging. So not just like the Pinot Noir with a little bit of 3 months in oak. This has had 18 months in oak. It is a Reserva wine. Reserva, what do I mean by that? Well, Generally in the wine world, unfortunately, words like reserva and crianza and cuvee don't have any particular strict rules and can mean absolutely nothing. But in the Spanish speaking world, so in Spain and Chile, for example, the reserva actually has a strict and accredited meaning, and it's all to do with oak. So if you like a bit of wood in your wine, here is the scale. If the wine, and this is for Spanish-speaking countries like Chile and Spain, if it says Joven, Joven, the Spanish for young, then it can have 0 to 6 months in oak, just a whiff of oak, a bit like that Pinot Noir we had earlier. If it says Crianza, then that's Crianza, Crianza, then it has sort of 6 to 12 months in oak. If it says Reserva, that's 12 to 18, and this is a reserva in front of you right now. It's had 18 actually, it's had the top end of the scale. And if it's a Gran Reserva, then it's had 18 months in or more in oak. And so those oak flavors are really, really coming through on this Reserva. It smooths out the tannins. It makes the big, rich, bold red wine super drinkable and super palatable. It's a bit dangerous, really. It's so drinkable. But also you've got those oak flavors, the spice and the vanilla and the richness coming through. If you like big Bordeaux's, if you're the sort of person that could be tempted into paying top prices for a famous Bordeaux name like Saint-Emilion, I would urge you to give Bodegas Manzanos, and it's called Chateau Henares. No, it's called, what's it called? It's called
Castillo Henares.
Castillo Henares.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a chateau in Spain, Sam.
Wouldn't be a chateau. Sorry, I've had too much Henares. Castillo Henares, I would urge you to give it a try. I'm sure you will be satisfied, and it's a fantastic example of a big, rich red wine with that lovely rich oak. It's classic Christmas for me, classic Christmas. If you're not having turkey, if you're having beef, or maybe Boxing Day, you're having a bit of beef, or do you know what? The cheese board, get this out with a cheese board, get the stinky Stilton out and all those bits and bobs, get into this. That's Christmas for me. Absolutely epic wine.
Yeah, a lot of love coming through for Red Wine 3, as expected. Looks like a good gift wine. Very snazzy label, a lot of label love. Any other recommendations for wines to give at Christmas?
Well, that's very convenient. We have an entire category called Gift Wrap Not Included for gifting wines at Christmas. For me, I don't know if this is just a wine fan thing, but if I give somebody a wine for Christmas, I don't want it to just be, something they know or something they've seen before. I like a wine with a little bit of a story behind it, something a bit new, something a bit different, just like what we've just experienced with this last red wine, an alternative to the obvious. And so our Gift Wrap Not Included category on the website is a selection of wines that we've chosen, which are out of the ordinary, because why would you want to just give somebody something they could pick up any other day of the week as a gift for Christmas? So yeah, wines that have got something a bit more interesting about them. Have a look. I'm sure there'll be something on there.
Yeah, a lot of agreement with the cheese board. Yes, good selection tonight. White 1, red 1, and 4. I mean, I'm assuming that's red wine 3 because we definitely haven't had 4 reds. So yeah, red wine 1 and 3
changed.
Favorites. Any suggestions for of a wine for gammon? Nice gammon wine.
Yeah. I do have a good suggestion actually, because I was thinking about this earlier. Because we're going up to my dad's for Christmas, and I'm bringing a ham with me, and I'm also obviously in charge of the wine. Now the thing about gammon, it's not particularly like strong. You could really categorize it as white meat. It's not like beef or anything. But generally, I don't know about you guys, but you flavor your gammon, don't you? You put some cloves in it, or put some honey on top and that sort of thing. You're actually almost sort of getting into Asian style spicing there, quite strong flavors. So have a look at white wines like Gewürztraminer or Grüner Veltliner from Austria. So these are white wines that are quite light in flavor, but they're weird, they're interesting. They've got like spiciness or unusual flavor to them. We've got a Grüner Veltliner from Austria in at the moment, Funk Steel, fantastic white wine, is worth having a look at. So yeah, for gammon, it's not about the meat, it's more about what you coat it in, really. And yeah, something like a light white wine that's a bit more what we call aromatic, the Austrian style Gewürztraminer, Grüner Veltliner. that sort of thing would be very nice. Also, bear in mind if you're dousing your ham like I do in honey. I mean, I buy one of those like bottles of honey. I squeeze the whole thing out by the time the job's done. It's quite sweet, isn't it? So you might want something that's got a bit of sugar to it as well. So, you know, something from a hot country that's got plenty of sugar in it.
We've had just a message there. Oh, prices, please, prices. So I will show you now just how you'll be emailed all of the wines we've had tonight and the order, but I will quickly show you how you can find them yourselves as well. So if you head over to the Smash Grapes website, so smashgrapes.co.uk, you know what that one is. It's on the booklets that you received and you've ordered your wine packs from there tonight. You head up to the menu where it says try before you buy. Very helpfully, we have got a little thing here that says this month's wines. If you're on a phone, again, press the menu button. But then when you head through to this month's wines, you will see the 6 wines in the order that we've drank them this evening, starting with number 1 over here on the left. With all of the prices and everything there for you to take a look at. So yeah, you head over to smashgrapes.co.uk, head to the try before you buy section, and this month's wines. That will bring you to the collection that has the 6 wines from this evening. There we are. So let's have a quick look. Oh, hang on, I need to just pop some screens around. Yep. That is wines 1 to 6 done and sorted. Let us know what you thought. I see Alistair there. Orders coming from us. White 1, 2, and red 3. There was a lot of love for red 3 last night as well. It's been a very popular... I think we're going to have to keep that one in the shop. Definitely going to have to keep this one in. I mean, I'm enjoying it, so I wouldn't mind a stock available. Are you doing a wine tasting in December?
We were thinking about it, weren't we?
Yeah, I think we are, and I think it's going to have to be the middle of the month. I think was our
yeah. We don't want one on
the
like
last Friday
the 28th
would be new,
when you're
the last Friday would
be gorged.
Yeah, the last Friday would be New Year's Eve. We're not doing one on New Year's Eve. And then obviously to be able to get them sent out and sorted, you know, it's going to. I think we need to do it about the 18th-ish, which I think off the top of my head is probably going to be like a Saturday or something. So it'll be sometime around the middle of the month. So yes, there will be one in December. Keep an eye on your emails. We'll announce that next week. Roger in the YouTube chat just wants to do a quick shout out. Dorello is fantastic, so much better than Prosecco, and he's also very happy to see La Tribuna back in stock as well.
Roger.
Any suggestions for a vegetarian Christmas?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely we do. So if you have a look at there's a banner at the top that says the Sustainable Christmas. It will take you to all of our vegan wines. So, you know, we've doubled up and they're not just vegetarian, they're vegan wines. But also when it comes to pairing with vegetarian food, depending what you're having on the big day, there are some wines in there. In particular, there's a Cabernet Franc, which is particularly good. What's the name of the Cabernet Franc, Dan? I've forgotten.
The name of the Cabernet Franc is currently out of stock, but it's Cabaret Franc and his marvellous moustache.
Cabaret Franc. We'll get it in stock and his marvellous moustache. Yeah, it's got a lovely sort of grilled vegetable flavour, that red wine. So it's rich and it's full-bodied, but it's got a lovely grilled vegetable flavour. Carmenere, again, it's got that sort of style. Carignan has got that sort of like grilled pepper vegetable style flavour in a red wine that pairs fantastically with vegetarian food. In the white wine area, anything similar to Sauvignon Blanc. So if you find our If You Love categories, and at the moment the If You Love categories, we've put a lot of the Christmas favourites at the top, but our usual stuff like our Sauvignon Blanc and our Pinot Grigio is in there as well. If you go to If You Love Sauvignon Blanc, you're going to find Sauvignon, you're going to find Verdeo, and various other what we call green grape varieties that have lots of green flavours in them, like asparagus and pea and that sort of thing. So, you know, if you're eating vegetarian at Christmas, there's still plenty for you. Absolutely. And if you're unsure, actually, if you've got something planned for vegetarian Christmas dinner that I maybe haven't even thought of before, because I'm trying my best to move to vegetarianism, but I'm a newbie to it, then send us a message. Send us a message. Jump on the chat on the website. Say, hey, Sam, I'm planning on having this for Christmas Day. What do you think? We'll point you in the right direction. Because the thing about vegetarian food is, you know, the flavors could be completely different to anything we thought of before. So yeah, jump on the chat, send us a message, and we'll be more. And that goes for anybody, not just the vegetarians. If you've got something planned, send us a message and we'll tell you the great wine to have with it.
It's not strictly a vegetarian chat. It's fine. Also, rate La Tribuna. Yet to try Durello, says Alexa. Go for it. La Tribuna is one of the best red wines I think we have in the store. It's a Spanish GSM blend. What you might know as Chateauneuf de Pape if you're buying it from France. Cracking wine. Great to see that back in stock. We struggle to keep hold of it because there's a few people out there, one of them may be on this evening, who whenever it's in tend to buy the lot. So it's great wine. Any other
Durello,
questions? Keep them fired over. But yes, Durello, Sam, we're talking about
Durello,
Fizz. We're talking about Christmas. It's probably worth doing a little talk about Fizz. It's in the booklets.
Yeah.
So everyone's got a copy of that.
Yeah, we'd love for you guys to be able to try our fizzes, obviously, but they just don't work in the pouches. Excuse me. They just don't work in the pouches, so it's a real shame. But fizz at Christmas, you know, it's a must-have. It's something we're extremely passionate about. There's two things you should definitely look at. We've been talking about Durello. A few people have chimed in about Durello tonight. Thank you for the Durello support. So Prosecco in the UK is a massive old thing. It comes from the Prosecco region in the north of Italy. It's made from a grape called Glera. So Prosecco isn't the grape, but it's become so mass produced to fit this massive market. You know, this huge Goliath of a market. Durello is a very, very small region in the north of Italy that makes sparkling wine using the grape Durella, funnily enough. And it's the stuff that the Italians keep for themselves. They don't export it generally. It's great. It's fantastic quality. It's everything you love about Prosecco. Light, spritzy, lemony citrus, easy drinking, happy, fun time fizz. But generally, they've kept it for themselves. We've got it, and it is absolutely brilliant. It offers so much better value for money than mass-produced Prosecco. So if that's your thing, get on the site and bag a load of Durello for the Christmas period. If you want to take that to the next level, of course, champagne is a big deal at Christmas. There's going to be a big old champagne shortage because champagne has had a terrible old time. It had horrendous frosts in the last couple of harvests, which means yields are down. But on top of that, with COVID and with Brexit, it's just a nightmare getting it into the country. Good is what we say, because champagne is the definition of paying for a brand. You know, it literally is label over what's in the bottle. Champagne houses, Moët, Veuve, Taittinger, whoever you like, don't even grow their own grapes. They buy the grapes from other people, and then they just slap their label on and produce the wine. It's not particularly ideal. We would urge you to stray away from it and get better value in what we love, which is Cava from Spain. Oh, you might be thinking, oh, isn't that the cheap alternative? No, it's not at all. It is made in the exact same way with very, very similar grape varieties, secondary fermentation in the bottle to add all of those toasty, lovely, yeasty flavors. We are currently stocking Perelada, one of the top producers in Spain. Like, these guys make Cava, make sparkling wine for the Spanish royal family, Spanish royal weddings. These guys are a big deal in Spain. They get no accreditation in this country because of champagne. They're amazing. In fact, they've actually gone to war with champagne legal battles over this sort of stuff, but they're dwarfed by the marketing budget of champagne. Fantastic quality. We've got a whole range in there. We've got their normal stuff. We've got their Nature, which is lovely and crisp and clean and refreshing. We've got their Pink as well, which is really enjoyable. Look at the prices compared to a bottle of champagne, and you're going to have a fantastic Christmas. I urge you to give it a try.
Yeah, the Nature, which is like the the top tier one that we've got in at the minute. It's like $14.99 a bottle, and it is fantastic. We did some last night. So with it being a live tasting, we were able to put a bit of fizz in glasses because we can't unfortunately put it in a pouch, and it went down really, really well. I hadn't tried that one before this evening, so yesterday, sorry. Oh, really nice, really nice. Any dessert wine recommendations? Dessert wine.
For sure. Absolutely. We've got some dessert wine going up. So the thing about dessert wine, make sure that your dessert wine is sweeter than your dessert. So have a think about what your dessert is going to be. If it's something not particularly sweet, like, I don't know, panna cotta or creme brulee or, a fruit salad, then, it doesn't have to be too sweet. But if it's like chocolate based or Christmas pudding, then, it needs to be really, really sweet. So make sure your wine is sweeter than the dessert. We're going to be stocking something called Mad, because it is Mad. No, it's from the village of Mad in Hungary. There is a village called Mad in Hungary, and they make dessert wine from a grape variety called Ferment, and it's absolutely fantastic. We'll be stocking that soon. Urge you to give it a go. But one of my favorite things, and we'll be stocking this soon to have as a sweet wine with dessert or with a cheese board at the end of the night, is PX Sherry. So sherry, not that Harvey's Bristol cream stuff. No, real sherry from Spain. Comes in lots of different levels, and the sweetest level is PX, and it is fantastic. It's like liquid Christmas pudding, and it's very, very enjoyable with your cheese board or your dessert.
Oh, so there are our recommendations for Christmas. We've done dessert wine, we've done fizz, we've done red and white if you're having a dry bird, we've done your veggie Wellingtons. We've covered it all off. I think the only thing we probably haven't touched on, and that we couldn't do, that we didn't do tonight, is what happens when you are, stood approaching a buffet and you've got everything. You've got everything there. It could be that you've gone round to see your mates the weekend before Christmas, or it's the Boxing Day you're hosting, so you push the dining table up to the wall, and we made a bit of not a claim, but we've said this a few times. We made a good suggestion last night. If you don't know what to pair with it, or it's so all over the place because you've got spring rolls, vol au vents, chicken legs, pink. Go with a pink. Nice rosé. Nice rosé will always pair with a few of those. How many people for a live wine tasting? Says Christine and Callum. Fancy a live wine tasting in Aberdeen. Send us a message via the website. We'll let you know. We'll have to do some sums, but send us a message. We're willing to hit the road. Obviously, if it's just the two of you, Christine and Callum, might be a little bit odd. But hey, let's see. What about port? Says Chris.
Yeah, I get that a lot this time of year about port. I like a bit of port, absolutely. Port comes in different styles. So you've got ruby port, which ultimately is like red wine with a bit of added sugar. It's red wine in flavour, and it's got a little bit of extra fortified sweetness. What does that mean? It's just had a spirit added to it to sort of give it a bit of a kick. Then you've got your late bottled vintages, which have had spent time aging, and that's when they become less red and more brown in color, and they age, and then they sort of get that Christmassy sort of spicy flavors. I do like that indeed. I'd encourage you to have an LBV. Then you got your vintage. Oof, then we're getting into the expensive stuff, and vintage port is very, very nice. Port just gets better with time. And if you've got maybe a relative that's got some port they've been hiding for however many decades, try and steal it from them. It is very, very nice, but it is a pricey affair. And so again, I would urge you to have a little look at stuff like sherry, PX Sherry, which delivers that same sort of flavor profile as vintage port, but for a fraction of the cost.
We'll get a PX Sherry up on the store, actually, because we've got a little bit of stock of that in. So we'll get that up over the weekend if you're interested. Got a few bottles in for that one. And then the dessert wine we'll get up next week as well. As we approach Christmas, it's the kind of thing people just get in just for Christmas. I mean, Sam's a big fan of a dessert wine, Definitely would say it's not just for Christmas. But
for sure,
we'll get it listed up. White port.
Yeah, I like a white port. I don't think
I've ever had a white port.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. different flavour. It's a bit unusual, but yeah, it's nice. If you see some, I'd urge you to give it a try. Yeah, it's not too expensive.
I think that's all the questions that we have in at the minute. There's nothing else on the chat. Let me just have a quick look on you. Siobhan, big fan of the stars. Yeah, great. The rosé one is fantastic. The touch of rosé is a lovely fizz. Definitely, if you're thinking of giving it a go, have a go. Roger's dad is looking forward to port. There you go. It was a very dad thing, isn't it? Port. I think my
we'll get some. We'll try and find some port.
Yeah.
Port. Actually, at the moment with port, you've got the classic names that we've all heard of: Taylor's, Graham's, Sandeman's, and that sort of thing. But there are a lot of independent Portuguese winemakers that are making port, and if we can find some to stock for Christmas, I'd love to, because they are really, really good. Worth having a look at.
You said about Ruby, and then you said LBV and Vintage. What's
Vintage.
Tawny? Where does Tawny fit into all?
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about Tawny. Yeah, so Tawny is slightly more aged than LBV. Yeah, so it's not vintage, so it'll be a mix of different years, but it's slightly more aged than LBV. Yeah, so it gets even more darker and browner in flavour. So yeah, Tawny port, if it's in the right price bracket for you, is worth giving a go as well. But we'll have a look. Actually, there might be somewhere where I've got in mind somewhere where we can get some nice independent. There's a place we could have a look at for some nice independent port making. That's
there you go. Well, watch this space. Dessert wines, sherries, port. It's all going up. You heard it here first. So, guys, thank you for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed the evening. Hope you've enjoyed the wines. Remember, you've got your £10 of wine tokens sat there in your accounts. You haven't made an account, don't panic. You just need to register one using the email that you bought the wine tasting pack with. You go on there, log in, select redeem in the wine token portal, and there they are. We do, however, have a Black Friday sale on all weekend, so take a look. It's on till midnight on Sunday. The code, I believe, is Friday20, but it is at the top of the website when you go to the website, so take a look. Use that this weekend. Save your wine tokens for a little bit down the line. You can only use one promotion at a time. But yeah, take a look. So we've mentioned a lot of wines, obviously, that we've had this tonight. An email should be in your inbox now. If not, it will be in the morning with the 6 wines that we've had this evening. But those tokens are valid entirely across the store. So you can get anything. We've spoken about the Durella. We've spoken about the Perolada. We've spoken about La Tribuna. If you just fancy giving it a go, throw it in the basket, and we will get it sent out and on its way to you at the start of the week. So thank you very much for joining. Hope you've had fun from me and Sam. Cheers, and we'll see you on the next one. Middle of December. Cheers. Middle of December for a little pre-Christmas soiree again via YouTube. Maybe we could do a sherry or a port on that one, Sam, because we can get the 50ml pouch now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Knows. There we go. Right, guys, thank you very much. Cheers. Hope you had a good evening, and we will speak to you all soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Right, go. I'm just going to leave you with a bit of the website, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.